Hey YouTube, this is Old School Ted 1 with this week's Bryan Danielson overview, what's happened over this past week, if you will. And I know a lot of people were talking and hoping for him to show up on Raw, to step in, to be called in for Bret Hart to sort of take on The Miz. I know I was excited about that. And instead we had the Hart Dynasty in a Anything Goes match. Uh, End up helping Bret Hart win, the U.S. belt. I don't know where they're going to do with it, but I hope Miz ends up with it again because I do believe that Bryan Danielson, and I'll get to the name in a second, is in a pretty good position to take that away from him, and that would be a good way to establish him early. But the time we did see him was on NXT. The second segment had him and Michael Tarver out, and he went on a pretty good rant about that WWE was going to want someone who can make the money, and he's got the in-ring skills, and Jericho and Regal realized that. He called Miz out. Miz sort of went on one of his Miz-tastic rants about how he's first youngest guy ever to win the unified tag belts and the U.S. belt or something like that. Daniel Bryan called him to the ring in a really good moment. Striker interrupted and says, "Well, you were eliminated, so you don't really matter." I kind of expected him to sort of just hammer him right then and there, but also they're still calling him Daniel Bryan. That bothers me. I mean, they had this great build-up, and then instead they just kind of let it be. Now, if they bring him back later, then it'll make more sense. Daniel Bryan goes on a bit more, and so I've got to stick with the Daniel Bryan, even though I don't want to. I will for the moment anyway. So you have the Daniel Bryan in the ring saying, as bad as Miz is, one guy who's been hammering him the whole time was Michael Cole. He goes outside, calls Michael Cole a poor man's JR, a poor excuse for JR, which JR actually was all for. He thought it was a good segment. It made both of them seem real. His jabs at Cole at first kind of upset me because they didn't look too hard at all, and then we realized that you need Cole for the rest of the show, so having Daniel Bryan just destroy him wouldn't really help much. So instead we had sort of him take him down, Striker pull him off, yelling at him, and what this allows for is Michael Cole can scream at him saying what a horrible human being, a scumbag. He can call him all sorts of names, which I'm not too upset about because it means he's still on the show. I think in the next week, maybe two, you'll see a build-up to him actually getting a match against The Miz or against somebody, mainly due to the fact that I would say sooner, but they have pay-per-view, I think, in a week or so. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, let me know. But I think with a pay-per-view in the next week or so, there's not enough time to really set up a match at the pay-per-view. And you do have Miz and Jericho already doing something with the Hart Dynasty. So you have that. So I don't know if there's enough time, unless they're going to put Michael Cole in a ring against Daniel Bryan, which I would pay to see. I would actually buy the pay-per-view just to watch Michael Cole get the crap kicked out of him. Mainly because I don't care for him. Not that I want to see him physically injured, but at night there's some catharsis seeing as a wrestler you don't like getting beat on, or a personality you don't like. Now that being said, I'm still not at all thrilled with the overall end of just booting him off the show. They could get him back on the show, but I don't know if they will right now. They're kind of ripping to the end right now. They're down to their Wade Barrett, David Otunga. I have no idea why he's still in there. Well, I do. Jennifer Hudson, and in fact, he's fairly charismatic. His in-ring ability, even last week's stand-up performance for him, really just... it did nothing for me. I still don't think he really has... his in-ring ability is still very suspect to me, and I think to a lot of fans. Whereas by comparison, the in-ring ability of Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, is not suspect at all. We know what he can do. If you are unfamiliar with him, let me just emphasize this. I have some videos in my favorites, or just put Bryan Danielson into your YouTube search engine thing and look it up, and you'll see what I mean. He's a brilliant wrestler. He's really good, surprisingly good. And I mentioned before, I wasn't a big fan of his to start when I heard of him early 2003 or so. I really didn't care too much for him at that point in time, but he's grown on me. After seeing some of his stuff on ROH, which I'm still getting caught up on ROH, so forgive me, ROH fans out there. I just ordered a couple, well, I'll be ordering a couple DVDs pretty shortly, including his match against Kanemaru, I think over for Noah for the junior belt. I don't know if he won it there or not, but I'm not sure. Noah's junior belt. But anyway, as I continue to educate myself on Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, I should say, I'm hoping the WWE gets a chance to. I'm hoping they don't just sort of run this out till it's got no momentum left. It's just sort of a flopping dead fish. On a scale of 1 to 10 on how I feel that, how confident I'll feel that they'll hang in there with them, I'm still at about a 7, if not an 8. The 10 would have been putting him in against the Miz in place for Bret Hart. But seeing Bret Hart slap on the sharpshooter was nice, but it's very fleeting. And I don't know if they'll hang on to it next week or if they'll even give him that opportunity. I still believe getting Daniel Bryan to work with guys is going to make them, whoever he makes, look more legit as far as wrestling goes, because they're going to have to deal with the wrestler. Think back to The Rock versus Chris Benoit. Those matches made The Rock a better wrestler. You started seeing him use more moves. Not so much with Lucha Libre guys when they're in there against a normal guy, but definitely with a sound technical wrestler. You do see them. Watching Dean Malenko when he was going up against the Hardys, you definitely saw them, especially Matt, get a lot more technical. And I thought that, so if you were to put a Daniel Bryan in the ring against, with, say, a Sheamus, that would be good. You'd have power versus technical skills, and that would be good. Or even before Sheamus, a Carlito. Carlito could look much better, and I think Carlito needs a push, to be fair. But what can happen down the line? I still go with my theories about you can have Daniel Bryan forming a mini stable with Tarver and Skip Sheffield. Not so much right now because they seem to be doing more of a solo thing. So that opportunity is fleeting, but definitely I could see them calling him out on Raw. Vince McMahon saying, "Oh yeah," and then putting him in like in a no-win match, and just getting him hammered. And then the following NXT next week, you could have Miz coming saying, "Well, I know you're hurt, but let's go because being hurt's no reason." I mean, there are still opportunities. I still feel like I said 7 or 8 out of 10 that Daniel Bryan is still going to be has a lot more opportunities than he does. Of course, he's got opportunities. I'm feeling better about it right now. I don't know how you're feeling. Please put your thoughts underneath us on comments. But to be fair, it could have been worse. It's not what I hoped for as far as where he's going, but we'll see where we go from here. So guarded optimism. Until next time, this is Old School Ted 1. Take it easy.